Hello, and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes, bringing you another Old Man Orange Presents Via VHS episode. One of them from the rarities vault that we have from back in the day that just never got put out. So come join us for another fun-filled retro movie review. Let's jump on in.
So what's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of the Via VHS Retro Movie Podcast. This is going to be an awesome one. I've been hinting for weeks, new guests. And if you're watching on YouTube, there's an immediate change. Usually there's 2 boxes. Now there's 3 boxes. So 1 box more. So that's really exciting. We got Ryan here with us. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, it's so you. I guess I should get to Spencer at some point, but he's not important right now.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm just that other fucking box here, just hanging out. You know what I mean?
Just another box, you know. You've been I've definitely we've podcasted together 4 or 5 times now, mostly on Old Man Orange. And you did 1 episode of Via VHS. You were on. We did that when we did the '90s movie tournament. You were on, and you picked some movies. And so you've been here before. So that episode's in the archives, but is there, and you were awesome on it. So I'm glad you're here again.
I'm glad to be here. Yeah, we want to get you back on Old Man Orange for a while. We've been talking just scheduling, you know how it goes, but yeah.
Yeah, we need to do that. Like I'm down. You always pick you're good at picking movies that are kind of out of the VHS era that I can kind of talk about. So
we're picking them out of the real era. We're back in the. You know what? You got to put up on the projector and get it ready, or it's like we're going old school with it.
Yeah, before home media, pre-home media, or post VHS era even. We've had a few. So, so I guess I should. Spencer's here.
Hey.
Again.
I'm here. Of course I'm here. Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Just getting ready for some good old Super Mario Brothers action here. Feeling it up. One of my favorite movies coming from what I've really come to the conclusion that one of my if there was a year that defines myself as far as movies go, it's 1993. I really thought about it. I'm like, shit, so many of the big movies that I think of probably in my top 10, top 20 literally come out in 1993. Last Action Hero, Jurassic Park, Super Mario Brothers, Son-in-Law, it goes down the list.
I'm like, yeah. Uh-oh.
Because some people have to be going Super Mario Brothers, okay, it's a cult classic. Last Action Hero, it's respected now. Son-in-Law, wait a minute, just give me a second to catch up.
We're not ready for Pauly Shore to could be a thing again yet.
I don't care. That right there, 1993. That's one of my feel-good movies you can just throw on at any moment. You whip out that VHS, plug it in, takes you back every time.
I think Pauly Shore needs to do it could be any one of his characters from his past movies, but it's almost kind of like his Unforgiven, kind of like those years of partying and Weasel, what it get me, one of those really reflective, sad, kind of artsy movies. I think that could work. That could bring him back.
It's like Pauly Shore, but like the wrestler.
The wrestler, yeah. Say it. Just comes with the microphone.
Well, didn't he do that Pauly is not dead thing? Or
yeah, he did 10 years ago or something like that.
It was a straight DVD movie or something. I didn't see it. I saw an ad for it on Dodgeball.
If
I remember because he was getting hit in the face with a fucking dodgeball. Right. It's like, talk about your fucking movie, nerd.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, actually, I'm looking at this. Really 93 was pretty damn solid. Really was. Groundhog Day, also.
That's a good one.
That's in my top. That's up there. Yeah. Well, anyway, Super Mario Brothers. We'll get to that in a second, actually. So I have a few things. Well, first, if you're a fan of the show in the past, even if you think it sucks now and you thought it was good then, or vice versa, whatever, you might remember us doing the flux capacitor. And you're like, man, that was really cool, but it was really extensive. And I agree. It was a lot. So I'm bringing it back, streamlined version. And so we're going to kind of jump into that in a second. But I have to address why we're doing this movie in particular, because, again, we're doing that stretch of movies to get to know me movies, introducing myself, Spencer, to the masses. and Brian in this case as well. And you've mentioned this movie offhand like a billion times. Mm-hmm. And I know that you've covered it extensively, as we were just talking about before we started the show. So when I was thinking of movies, like, okay, let's throw some ideas to Spencer, like what movies can we do? Last Action Hero popped in mind, but this was the first one. This is the first movie. Like, okay, there has to be a Via VHS episode on this too, because it's just, you've covered it so many places elsewhere. Like, we have to bring that passion for Super Mario Brothers, the movie, maybe the game also. We'll talk about that, but the movie to this show. So that's why we're doing this.
Well, it's one of those ones that I really want me and Ryan to be the people that have the most amount of podcasts known to mankind on the Super Mario Brothers movie. Like, you know, when you start to get older in life, it's like, you know, you just go like, you know what? That's the record I want to hold. I want to be when it flips through the Guinness Book of World Records and be like, most podcasts on Super Mario Brothers the movie?
What do I want on my gravestone?
Yeah, you know, and I was thinking about it like when we were watching the movie again and getting ready for this episode. I'm like, this will be the 6th podcast that me and Ryan have done on Super Mario Brothers the movie. We literally did a long time ago. We did a commentary track. Then we did, I think for episode, I want to say maybe it was 400. We went back and did a retrospective on it. We had the guys who run the Super Mario Brothers archive come on our show and talk all about like their kind of findings and digging around and all the history of Mario Brothers. Those guys also did a comic book too that's kind of like a sequel to Super Mario Brothers the movie, and they did it because didn't they have one of the writers also, or maybe he just did the forward? I can't remember if that was the case.
He did the forward. They reached out to the writer like, well, what was your planned sequel? Like, well, we have our own planned sequel. It was kind of like this, but we think you guys should do your own thing. And they more just did their own thing as far as I know, but the original writer did do the forward for it.
Okay, that's right.
Awesome.
I knew that's kind of connected. And then to top it off, we took one of the scripts of kind of like before the movie was made, one of like the earlier drafts, and we read through the whole thing on one of the Old Man Orange podcasts and like really went to town on that one. I've always felt like that was one of our best and funniest episodes, and you know, it's informative and just going down that script and seeing kind of like what there could have been. It was like, it's an amazing movie, that one we read. Like, it's so good. And I'm not saying that I love Super Mario Brothers, the movie we got as is, but like, you looked at this script and you're like, holy crap, there's like Mario references in there that you would just, you know, not expect just somebody who was just like a writer coming in for hire to kind of get, but like they totally got it. It was sweet.
It felt like a fan script that would have came out today. You know, there's like references, like Spencer said, references you would not expect, like the Tanuki ears and tail, piranha plants were in there.
Oh, I read about this.
Koopa Troopas. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, that script's one of those ones, like, that was probably, out of all, like, the kind of, like, we do those unproduced script segments on Old Man Orange, like, that was probably the coolest script I think we read out of all the ones we did.
It still holds up as that was the first unproduced script we read, but that was probably my favorite one. And yeah, that script, it was just it was kind of like a fusion. Best way to describe it is kind of like, think Princess Bride with Indiana Jones, kind of like a little bit of tiny bit of Rain Man. Apparently there's a draft before the one we read where the writer from Rain Man did a really harsh drama, which I'm curious to know what that is. Like, you got to make it more lighthearted. It's like, I'm not compromising my vision. So they have these other guys to come in and really lighten it up. So there's a one before that, apparently. So I kind of want to know what that is, but that one's not floating around.
Yeah.
So the original one's more like Princess Bride. And what else? What was the other one you said?
Kind of like it's a mixture of like Indiana Jones, Princess Bride, kind of Rain Man with kind of a medieval kind of tinge to it. I guess Fantasy Bride. But
what we got was Mario Brothers with a splash of Mad Max, Blade Runner, and cocaine, I'm assuming.
Well, and I think that's what I love about it, though, because I love both, you know, Blade Runner and Mad Max. And I think the idea of like kind of like taking Mario and putting in sort of that dystopian future, you know, is such a cool thing. But before we get into that, I know you were mentioning the flux capacitor. I don't want to get too far off there.
Well, we'll kind of jump into that. Go back to 1993. We're going to fire up the flux capacitor and head back there real quick, because kind of looking back at what the world was like when this movie was released, what it was up against. Before we get to the box office, this is a terrible week to start this because I was looking at the Billboard Hot 100, and I think only one of the first 5 songs I recognized off the top of my head. I went and listened to them and I remembered them. So if you're listening to the radio on the way to the theaters, okay, if you listen to pop radio, okay, like the mainstream shit, on the way to see Super Mario Brothers, you would have heard maybe "That's the Way Love Goes" by Janet Jackson, which was number 1.
I remember that one.
Yeah, a little bit. That's number 1 on the Billboard charts. I wish I had a good Casey Kasem voice like I used to. I don't even try.
Yeah, but you gotta get there by doing your scoop. Like, holy shit,
like Joinks. Like Joinks School.
Number 1 was Janet. I can't do it. Yeah.
You're Rennet Raxony. So That's the Way Love Goes. Janet Jackson, number 1. You got "Freak Me" by Silk.
I'm gonna belt, but I'm sure if I heard it, this.
I just want to say the third one on the charts because it's fun to say "Knockin' the Boots."
Oh.
That's number 3.
No, I'm assuming that's a country song, but I could be wrong there.
No.
H-Town. No.
No, it's not. I guess the idea of a country song being on the top Billboard charts is kind of few and far between.
Yeah. Even then. And then you got some Vanessa Williams "Round Midnight" song, but number 5 is "Nothing But a G Thing."
Oh, well, there's a good song right there. Yeah.
Yes. So 5, and it was rising, and ends up peaking at number 2. But at this point in time, it was number 5 on the charts. And going down, you don't really have a whole lot of good stuff. This is very R&B heavy, which is not a bad thing. It's just you got the Spin Doctors, you got 2 Princes right there.
Just driving on your way to see Mario Brothers. Do 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 do.
The Spin Doctors was that band that adults would kind of come up to kids and be like, "Hey, you guys hear the Spin Doctors? They're pretty hip." You'd be like, I don't know, man. Spin Doctors.
That is the number 1 grocery store hit of all time. I don't think I don't know. What's his name from Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20? I'm pretty sure he makes a whole living off music now. Because he'll make a song and it's it's okay. Will it play in Chili's? Yes. Okay, great. That's
that's all that matters.
There's certain dentist office. Yeah, you know it.
Yeah, there's certain things like that. It's if you can get those songs, that's where the money's really at, and so on. And I know I've mentioned this before, but whenever we do the flux capacitor, when we always pull up the pop charts, I'm we really need to find whatever the rock and metal one was, because then I feel like I would know the songs a lot better.
Well, that's why I scrolled down, because you kind of see, because the next one I was going to mention, number 22, our boys Aerosmith, "Living on the Edge."
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Yes, we're both about that.
See, and that early 90s is
soundtrack.
Oh, yeah. That definitely could fit on there. And I feel the early 90s is the best time period of Aerosmith. Kind of sounds weird if you weren't too into Aerosmith, but They made their best songs late 80s, early 90s. In a sense, they made their best songs when they were almost 50 years old.
They made their best song so there was the first couple albums, which was really good, and then Aerosmith was terrible for a little bit, and then they came back and it was. I still like the Train Kept a Rollin', Mama Ken era just a little bit more, but I'm into that 80s stuff a lot, and 90s stuff too.
Yeah.
So there's just a little snippet of what's going on. I do need to next time look at metal and kind of branch it out chart by chart.
Well, maybe that's on the Mario Brothers soundtrack, so maybe that's on there somewhere, hopefully.
Well, that's one of the reasons I was going to look at the charts, because I kind of regretted it when we did Last Action Hero. I thought, man, I should have looked at the charts, see what was kind of charting from the Last Action Hero soundtrack, and so in the future. By the way, Whoop, there it is. 95 South.
One of the biggest songs to ever play at any stadium throughout the 90s. I feel like I haven't heard that song in stadiums in a long time. Maybe it still does play, but that used to be you're guaranteed if you were sitting there to watch a game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Whoop, there it is. And then I think the Baja Men kind of came along and pushed him to the side.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think the Baja Men, and I think I guess the stadium anthem now is kind of Seven Nation Army. That's the big one now. Like, you got to play that every time. So, yeah. I mean, I'm almost down here at number, down in the 80s, and I'm not seeing anything good.
No Skid Row. No, I'm trying to think of who might even show up on this list. No Soundgarden, no Pearl Jam.
Nothing off Blood Sugar Sex Magic from the Chili Peppers.
Nothing there on this one, no. Real quick, if y'all could bear with me, let's just see if I could change the chart. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Oh, popular charts. There's ooh.
What's the unpopular chart?
Oh no, there is a way to do it, but it's going to take me a second to figure it out. But next week I might have it a little bit more dialed in. But I think we're we're slim pickings for the week of May 28th, 1993, when Super Mario Brothers was out. But
I thought you were going to tell me that Slim Pickens had a hit song right there.
Oh, no. Pickens did not have a hit song in May 1993.
Like banjo washboard band? No, it's actually like he actually beatboxes. It's amazing.
Yeah. On jugs. He beatboxed on jugs. So let's go to the box office real quick, because this is kind of more pertains to the actual movie, but it's fun to talk about music for a second. So opening against Super Mario Brothers. I don't know if you have this information pulled up in front of you. I hope you don't, because I like to throw this stuff at you.
I got nothing.
Good. Okay. You liar.
I don't have it. I got you and I got Ryan right here. That's all I got.
Yeah. Cliffhanger.
Ooh.
Open against Super Mario Brothers.
See, there's a good Stallone flick right there. I don't know if it's not like one of my top 20 movies, but like still goes to show that 1993, all kinds of great films.
Mm-hmm. Made in America with Ted Danson and Whoopi Goldberg. Well, I guess this is when they were like a thing. Remember they were a thing?
Yeah, I do kind of remember that.
And then Diddy wore blackface, and they were like, "No, listen, this is not a good idea, Ted Danson. Stop it, Becker." Oh man, Dave, the movie Dave.
Oh,
is that the Imaginary Friend movie?
I don't know. No, this is the one where what's his name? Come on, man, what's his name?
You got pulled up. I'm just.
Yeah, well, I'm the one who's got the information in front of me. Wild Wild West, he was in. Big Chill. No, the other guy.
Calvin.
He plays the president.
Something.
With
Calvin,
Susan Sarandon.
I remember that movie.
He's in the house building movie with Anakin Skywalker. I forgot what it was called.
The house building.
You know what I'm talking about? His son's like a fucking druggie. He's whiny. He's emo the whole time. His dad's dying of cancer. Like, son, we got to build a fucking house.
First of all, I said Susan Sarandon when I meant to say Sigourney Weaver. I think this is because of, past reviews.
Is it first Anakin or second Anakin?
Second Anakin.
Okay.
Some shit about making a house.
Well, I guess technically by that standard, that's actually third Anakin, because there is the poor bastard who gets taken out of like the original.
Yeah, true.
He's like, "Yep, kids, that's me up there at the very end. I'm actually Darth Vader. Dad, they edge you out of the special edition."
By that point, a 70-year-old guy like playing a mopey teenager, being like, "Fuck you, Dad! I don't want to build this house."
Kevin Kline.
Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Holy God. That might be the worst moment in the history of VHS. That might be the worst minute and a half.
I would just throw gasoline on the fire. I apologize.
Sorry, I'm still thinking about the mopey old Anakin guy just walking around like, "Screw you, Dad." He's like older than his father.
Hands and shit. Yeah.
I called Sigourney Weaver Susan Sarandon. Why? I don't know. I don't know why.
I probably like Sigourney Weaver more than I like Susan Sarandon. I'm just going to say that, but
I mean, Alien. Come on. Right. I mean, that helps. Of course, we all appreciate her for her role in Avatar. That's what comes to mind first for me. No,
I was trying to like, she's in that movie. That was like what I'm thinking the whole time.
No, Sigourney Weaver is not Susan Sarandon.
Yeah, well, I was thinking
scientist. Yeah,
science.
It's because we did Bull Durham last week. That's why I had Susan Sarandon on the brain. Also, I'm an idiot. That has a lot to do with it. So yeah, it was open. So Mario Brothers was fourth this weekend. It opened fourth, behind Cliffhanger, Made in America with Ted Danson, Dave, and then there's Super Mario Brothers, right above Hot Shots Part 2. And it only grossed like a couple 100,000 more than Hot Shots, so it was real close. So.
And Jurassic Park opened 2 weeks later.
No, that's
2 weeks before.
No, that's Last Action Hero that had that problem.
No. It was a couple weeks later would be Jurassic Park. Because we're May 28th. And then
yeah. Yeah, because Jurassic Park's June.
Yeah. So it was a few weeks before Jurassic Park. So you have this movie, and there's like dinosaurs. And then there's Jurassic Park with dinosaurs.
Yeah, that was probably it. They're trying to jump on in there beforehand, though. I mean, Super Mario Bros. Was probably one of those films that was only in theaters for like 2 weeks. I would be hard-pressed if that was in there longer than that.
I think I saw it on its second week. That's when I first saw it. Yeah.
I think it had a little bit more. It wasn't as big of a bomb as some other movies. It wasn't like Cutthroat Island. It wasn't on that level. It was a bomb, but maybe not to that extent. But damn, why do y'all love this movie so much? Because I need to know. Because for me, I'll just say real quick, because I want to give y'all the floor. This is like a fever dream for me. I watched it when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And I was like, of course, 90s kids. And we'll talk about Mario in general. I'm sure all through here. But like, I was super excited to see it. I saw it and I was like, what was that? And then it was one of those things I kind of forgot about, and every once in a while it popped back into my memory, and I'm like, was that a real thing? Did that really happen? And then later on, once the internet was a bigger thing and more people talked about movies, and you can see reviews, and you're like, oh God, the Super Mario Brothers movie. And then all of a sudden they would show clips and little parts would spark into my memory, like, oh yeah, because all I could ever remember was Yoshi. Mm-hmm. And Daisy. That's for some reason that's all that was burned into my memory, and everything else just kind of faded away. And then it's got like this infamous reputation, but y'all have like always loved it.
Yeah, well, I don't know who wants to go first. If you want me or Ryan to go first,
whoever. Like, just I don't know.
I'll start off with a little tidbit, and then me and Ryan will just pass the ball back and forth. Mm-hmm. But like, I didn't get to see it in theaters like Ryan did. Like, I saw this, like, this was one of those ones where I remember renting it, like, when it first came out on VHS, and that was just the thing. It was just like, here's the Mario Brothers movie. There was no other video game movies beforehand. I mean, literally, the only thing you got that's close to a video game movie, though it's kind of, its own thing first, is Tron. Like, this was just like a brand new, pretty much medium coming out, or brand new genre and so on. And just... that was that time period where it was so hard just to find anything kind of like based on these kind of characters. It wasn't like you could just go into any old store and there'd be just Mario junk on the walls or Sonic the Hedgehog or all that kind of stuff. So I felt like it's almost like you would gravitate towards whatever you could possibly find that was it. And the Mario Bros. Movie to me was just like one of those ones I was just so excited to see it. And then, I'd rent it and be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love the living daylights out of this. And so on there. And I mean, that would have been around the same time period I probably would have saw Mad Max anyways, so it would have, the connection probably would have been there. And then, Waterworld's not that far off anyways. But this movie was just one of those ones. I just always thought it was fun. I love John Leguizamo, Bob Hoskins, Dennis Hopper. I mean, literally, when I think of all three of those actors, this is where it always goes to first. Like, that's who it is. No matter, I don't care how many movies Dennis Hopper's in. Shit, Dennis Hopper's an Easy Rider. I'm like, there's King Cooper right there riding along, beside Captain America.
Well, real quick before I just want to say, Bob Hoskins. This is like the third movie. I'm trying to think. I think there's another. We did Hook. Mm-hmm. And he's in Hook. There was another one I feel like he was in. And I know he was almost in Jewel of the Nile.
Oh, yeah.
And almost in Romancing the Stone, obviously.
Yeah.
But this would have been like the fourth or fifth one we've done. I feel like there's one I'm missing all of a sudden.
You guys ever do Unleashed?
Mm-mm.
With the Jet Li one?
Yeah, he's a bad guy in that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Well, just to wrap up my little Mario Brothers thing right there is like when I was growing up though, like everybody I knew like loved the living daylights out of the Super Mario Brothers movie. Like it was just you didn't question it. It was just like, hey, dude, Mario Brothers movie. It's it's amazing. Yeah, like that. It wasn't until I got kind of older that I started meeting people that didn't like that movie, and I was like, what? You didn't like that? Like, what movie were you watching when you were a kid, and so on like that? And then you just kind of found there's just cynical people out there in the world, and they just don't like fun, and so on like that, and you just kind of discovered that. So I felt like I'm like, you know what? I'm keeping the banner going of like how much I like Mario Brothers and whatnot, and it's just been one of those movies that when it came out, I didn't actually own the copy until it came out on DVD, because this was one of those movies that like I'd rent it from time to time, but. You didn't just stumble across this on TV or anything like that. I never remember seeing this movie show up on, satellite or anything like that. Like
it was kind of buried.
Sci-Fi channel once in a while.
Maybe, but yeah, it's like even the DVDs are kind of like they're not easy to come across. You don't just see them anywhere. The VHS wasn't even easy to come across there too. The Blu-ray only exists in England, so of course we can't play it over here. But
see, I had no idea.
They have in England. They have one of the steel cases that has really cool artwork on it of the Super. And I've always wanted to kind of buy it, but I'm like, well, I don't want to spend $70 for a used copy that I can't even play on my own Blu-ray.
I don't blame you.
I guess if I get an all-region Blu-ray player, I'll be fine. But
I'm pissed right now because you've seen it before. I have visual evidence. I have it on VHS, and I haven't moved everything up into the studio yet, so I don't know where it's at exactly. I know it's in a box, but I just don't know where it's at in there. So I'm a little mad. But so you saw this in theaters, Ryan?
Yeah, I did. It's a weird thing. So here, Spencer always stayed true to his feelings on this movie. I'll say this part real quick. There was a point when I first saw the movie as a kid and loved it. And then there's a point where I guess maybe when I got to high school or so, and I was trying to be thinking more critical and then surrounded by people like, this movie sucks, this movie sucks, this movie sucks. And hear it enough, you're just like, I guess maybe it does suck and I'm wrong for liking it, not to sound like a sheep, but, I was just like, okay. But then, one day I saw the movie and I was just kind of along the train like, yeah, whatever, it's not that great of a movie. And then one day I saw it for like $5 at a Rite Aid, of all things. And,
well, that's like where you would find it, though. Like, that's like kind of how you would come across it. You weren't just going to find it in a normal store. You were going to find it in like a bizarre store. Be sitting there it'd be right next to like Spice World.
Rite Aid and Grants Pass, Oregon, of all things. So, yeah, I'm like, whatever. Oh, okay, yeah. And then one time, I think we were in college. We had some friends over, and I just put it on for the background.
We had a Mario party.
What?
We had a Mario party.
Kind of a Mario party, yeah. We just had a bunch of other, classmates over. We were just playing it in the background. And then I was looking over it every so often. I found myself more watching, you know what? The movie is flawed and it's not perfect, but there's something about it that is just very enjoyable. And I don't mean that in a shitty, hipstery, cynical way. There is something about the movie. It's not accurate to it if you really dig deep, but there is more to it than you'd expect there to be. I mean, it's really just kind of taking the Mario archetype and Mario themes and just plopping it into a sci-fi dystopian world, which by now is a common thing people do in fandoms. Let's try the edgy, fucked up version of Sonic. Let's try the edgy, dark version of whatever, So going in with that mindset and watching it and just seeing some of the things they did. I mean, I'm not going to lie. The original scripts, I think, would have made a better movie. The one that we covered on the podcast. But I think it's easier to make a good script than it is a good movie. Who knows how that would have turned out with budgeting and whatnot, or whatever directors they would have got by that point. This movie is a weird combination of compromises and situations just kind of happening, but it's still an enjoyable movie. And I think one of the reasons I like it so much still to this day is right when I was getting into Mario, I had to be in kindergarten. And around the time I just realized I was a big Mario fan, I was just like, I wish they made a Mario movie. And then one Saturday morning, they're just playing an ad for a Mario movie. Like, wait, that guy's dressed in red and blue. That guy's dressed in green and blue. Those are lizard people. What? Like, it looks way different, but that's a Mario movie. And then I just was amped and saw the movie, loved the movie, kind of wished it was more accurate to the game, but I was like, I'll take what I can get. And then I think there's a point where we all just got kind of, not Spencer apparently, but like a lot of other people got a lot more of kind of like, it should be more like this, it should be more like that. But at the time, I mean, I still would have liked to see the original movie, but what we got is still a fun, entertaining movie. It's probably one of my top 10 favorite movies, really.
Oh, wow.
That's how I feel. It's literally in my top 10 because it's like one of those ones I can throw it on at any point, and it takes me back. I think it's fun the whole way through. Like, just maybe it's just like, it might be a lot of nostalgia talking, but like, if anything, it's like, once again, kind of going back to 1993, just in movies in general. Maybe there's just some special connection I have to that year and everything like that, but, I love the feel of it. I like the soundtrack in the movie. It's got great, quotable lines in there and everything like that. And as I said, it's fun the whole way. I think the pacing's good. It's not like,
yes.
It doesn't have any slowdowns. It's like, there's always action. There's always comedy. It's not one of those, because, there's always some of those movies where like it starts off good and then you have like an hour where nothing happens, like nothing's worse than those kind, I feel this one's just flowing the whole way through.
So this is the only second time I've seen this movie. And by the way, I was actually almost going to have you send it to me because I couldn't find it anywhere. Well, I was just going to buy it.
Well, yeah, I don't think you can't get it digitally or anything like that. I would have just burnt my DVD copy.
You can find it free on YouTube, I think.
Well, you could for a while, and then now it's not. So I found it. Yeah, through resources, I found it. And I watched it. And the weirdest thing about this movie is, okay, so it's not referential at all, hardly, to the source material. I mean, you got the names and you got little things that pop up here and there. There's only a few things that are like really pulled from the, like, especially aesthetically from the game. Like, it's missing a lot of things. But it's so damn bizarre on its own that with just without just some type of reference to some type of other property, that it can't exist by itself, because it's so like there's no way that this could have been pitched and existed as a movie on itself without the Mario Brothers, because people have been like, what the hell is this? Mm-hmm. And in fairness, Mario Brothers in itself is weird as shit, because it's like, okay, so there's a knight. I mean, there's a dragon and a princess. I'm like, oh, okay, so a knight saves them. No, it's a plumber, but it's okay. There's slime turtles. Just get on board. Like, it's so, and there's mushrooms. Oh, that makes sense. There's mushrooms. I get it. There's mushrooms. Like, it's so weird, but you're watching it and it's like, you can't say it's bad. Yeah. Because the pacing is good. The acting, I think, is good. Dennis Hopper fucking nails it. Yeah. In my opinion. With all the complaints about him, I think he does a good job. Is it a good Mario movie? I don't know. But it's not a bad movie.
And the thing is like, it's the little things that, like, because once again, this is, in a sense, the first video game movie out the door. So I feel like there's always like, if a movie comes out today, it's like that. It's sort of that thing, like when there'll be certain comic book movies that come out and then you see them kind of like put the kid gloves back on or pull back and you're like, dude, come on. By this point, you know what I mean? Like, don't give me like the, in a sense, like the 2001 version of a movie. That would have been fine then. But, nowadays I feel like you got to give us a full package. Where when I kind of go back to like the Mario Brothers movies, like it's even just the little things, it's like they got like some of the characters in there. And even if it's in kind of a different way, like it's got like the, they got the Ba-Bomb, you got the Shy Guys. Cause like, they got the guys with the masks on there that are kind of like working in like the dump and everything like that.
I didn't even piece that together.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like some of the stuff there, it's like you don't think about it maybe the first time through or even second or third time, but like when you kind of go, it's like, oh, there's Shy Guys and stuff. It's kind of weird because they kind of pull a lot more from Mario Brothers 2 than almost anything else. Yeah. You got Big Bertha in there, you got the Goombas, and then you sort of got the Koopa Troopas in like two different ways. Like there's the Goombas that kind of have the little dinosaur head, but then also the police officers sort of have like almost like kind of like a Koopa Troopa attire. Like they almost like they got the pads on there and it kind of has that armor sort of look. Then you got Toad in there as well too, and his haircut is designed
played by Mojo Nixon.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got his hair designed like Toad and whatnot. And even the whole point of like, you get Daisy, you know, and that's almost kind of even like a ballsy choice too, because you think it's like, oh man, like Daisy, that's like a character that kind of even comes sort of later on, you know, and it's not really used a whole lot back at that point. But she's in there, and then where was I going with
Well, there's a dinosaur angle because of Mario World.
Yeah,
that was the most popular game at the time. So, like, let's make it more dinosaur focused.
Yeah, so they give it kind of more of that. And then there's even, like, there's the girl that Mario sort of dates, and now she goes by a different name in the movie, but I always kind of go, like, in my mind, like, that's Pauline. That's who that, I feel like that's who it's supposed to be, which is the chick from Donkey Kong. So it's got that.
That's like a deep cut there.
So, yeah.
And then even Daisy. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Spencer.
I was just saying, then there's Iggy and Spike, but you go ahead, Ryan. If you look hard enough, there is all kinds of these different references and so on.
Daisy, I think the reason why they went with her is just because for a long time, Princess Peach wasn't Princess Peach until, like, commonly
64.
Until 64, yeah. So I think they're like, well, in this game for the Game Boy, they call her Daisy. Like, well, just call her Daisy. You know, because like, what are they gonna say? Toadstool? You're the college student, Miss Toadstool. You know, so I think
which just sounds like the most druggy kid at school would be like, wait a second, I don't think you go to school. I think you're just here to make money off the kids that do go to school.
How is she funding this dinosaur research project?
Yeah.
Princess Toadstool is the name you ask for over at the bleachers. Yeah.
Well, even like in a very
how's she paying for that college? So, you know.
Yeah, but even like in like almost like in a sense like just kind of thinking, I guess, in a kind of a creative way of how to spin this all together. You know, Princess Daisy's dad gets de-evolved into pretty much fungus, which turns into like that's why the mushrooms sort of appear throughout the whole Bowser Kingdom and so on.
Which is clever.
So, you know, I feel like the people that sat down, and this is the thing I always think about too, it's like, you know, when you think about the people writing this script, you're thinking about people that are like 40 years old, give or take, or something like that. Like, so this stuff is very probably foreign to them, unless you just happen to be just that guy who's been playing video games since like Space War, you know, which I'm assuming is not who these guys really are necessarily. You know, I mean, they've ever like, I've played a few Pong and Space Invaders here and there, but you know what I mean? So the idea of like, you know, nowadays it just seems like, hey, you can just go get a kid who's like, his entire life has been spent since, you know, age 4 playing these games, so he knows it in and out. Have him write the script. But back then, it's like, no, you're just kind of going like, hey, Bob, you want to give a try at the Super Mario Brothers script? What the fuck's a Super Mario Brothers? I don't know. Here's a couple games. Go do some research on it. You know, bring it back here in the, you know, next morning.
Is that shit by Sega about a Bandicoot? Yeah, something like that.
But that's the weird thing about it. So I feel like what happened because you mentioned that there's a lot of references, but also it seems like there's none at all simultaneously. Like, it's like, this doesn't feel like a Mario Brothers movie, and then all of a sudden you're watching it and you're like, oh, there's all this little tidbits. Like you mentioned the Shy Guys, I didn't even notice that. So they obviously did some homework, but I feel like it was like a, you know, you're hovering at a certain altitude instead of being right in it, because I feel like they maybe just looked at some designs and went through some books and some artwork that they were given by Nintendo, and it's like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. This is what, I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm saying this is what it feels like to me watching it. And they're like, okay, well, let's put this in the movie, but they didn't know exactly how to apply it all the time. But it still kind of found a way to work. And even though this is just weird, but the thing that's really odd is who the fuck, I want to feel bad for Bob Hoskins, like, because he hated his experience, but who the fuck takes a movie, Super Mario Brothers, and doesn't know who the Mario Brothers are? Like, it's like, you're already signed on.
Well, that's the thing, though. A lot of people... There's like a couple different drafts, and I think from what I heard, I might be wrong. The Mario Brothers movie archive guys could probably correct me on this if I am wrong. There was the script we were talking about that we covered on our podcast, where it was really Princess Bride inspired, Indiana Jonesy kind of. That one right there, a lot of people signed on reading that script, and then when they hired the directors, like, we like the concepts, but we want to make it different. Different, okay. And by different, they mean lose the fantasy aspect, lose a lot of these beats. I mean, it's weird. Like, the opening scene, aside from it being an egg, is almost exactly the same. Beyond that, everything else is really different. And after that, it kind of goes like they just they just had a bunch of different rewrites and a bunch of versions of the scripts. And by the time the people got there, they're like, been a lot of rewrites. Here's what you're doing now. Like, whoa, this isn't a magical kingdom. This isn't this. I mean, there's some people that had to know what they're getting into, but I think bigger people like Hoskins and Leguizamo by that point did not know what it was they were signing up for.
Mm-hmm.
Or they thought they were signing. They thought they were signed up for something else. I mean,
well, and I think that, like, in hindsight, I feel like, the movie works out for what it does and so on. But I could see if you were making a movie and then, like, every day you're coming in and it's changing and the locations are different and everything about it, and it's just like, dude, like, I literally have no idea what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I could see how that could be kind of infuriating, and you just be like, to the point where you're just like, shit, let's just finish it off and so on, because it's like, I had this whole, like, set in my mind what we're doing. And probably if, like, let's just say the script was just like what the movie is right now, and that was handed off originally, and you knew that, okay, we're getting into a Mad Max style one instead. Okay, I can do that. I think it's just knowing what you're into instead of, like, signing on and then you show up to work and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, that's not what you're doing.
That, and I also like it was like the directors fighting with the producers and the directors fighting with the actors. They every day they were kind of like, it was just kind of like this big struggle for who has the stick,
Well, usually too, when you read about actors in hindsight complaining about hostile work situation or hostile environment, you're like, okay, you're kind of being a little bitch. But in this case, it didn't sound like that. It sounded like these directors were tyrants to an extent. Kind of like, I read something about pouring hot coffee on somebody's head and different things like that. So I don't know. That's pretty bad too.
Yeah, they didn't. Well, apparently there's like two different versions of the story. There's one where it ends with the guy director pouring coffee on somebody, and he says that never happened. But I mean, I don't see a whole lot of people coming to his defense for other things, So there's somebody who looked really like he wanted him looking more muddy, and he walked by and poured coffee on him and make it look more like nasty. And then he's all like, "Oh, he's just an extra," he said, or whatever. And then there's another one where it's somebody in a Goomba suit and pouring it on the Goomba suit, and the guy screams like, "Oh, whatever, you get over it."
Yeah.
Oh man, so real quick, because I want to talk about the effects, because the effects I think are very good. Very, very good. I was really impressed. It started making me think about Ninja Turtles.
That's kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's weird? It has more than just a vibe to it. I didn't know this until I was doing the research on this. Most of this was filmed in Wilmington at Screen Gems. I've been to that studio, I don't know how many times back in the day when I was doing the acting stuff. I used to go down there to Screen Gems. The big tank. This is filmed, it's just like Ninja Turtles. The New York scenes were filmed in New York, and everything else was filmed in Wilmington, North Carolina. I had no idea this was filmed down there. Like, when you go, like, there's sometimes like, oh yeah, this is Ninja Turtles here, and this is this. I didn't. When I think there's like a concrete plant up in Roanoke, which is way up the coast, like another part of the coast. But I had no idea that was filmed there, so that was really weird. But that's where they built, I guess, that amazing set. The set's amazing. The Goombas are amazing. Yoshi is really amazing, I thought.
Yeah. No, well, that's the thing is I think the special effects in this movie, the look of it, the scenes, the whole set, the design, like the production value, like it's totally top notch, And I think that's as long as you can go, this is like that kind of movie. You got to go into it with the open mind of like, don't expect to see, Mario Brothers from NES put exactly on screen. The only way you were going to get that is if the movie was a full on 2D animated flick. But if you go in there with, it's like, okay, we're kind of doing something different. We got this cyberpunk kind of feel to it and everything like that, and you just look at everything that they kind of built and put together. Like, it's really cool. It's one of those ones
super creative.
Yeah. It's like the design stuff in there and even just small background details, the costumes and so on that they got going on for the characters and everything like that. It's like, it is really cool. Like, I like it all the way around for that.
There is that thing at the post credits they do to try to kind of explain away why everything looks the way it does, and it's trying to be like, no, these are the events that inspired the video game. Did you see the little post credit thing at the end?
I watched it. I had a feeling there would be one. I don't know why, but I didn't know. I was like, let's just see, and then I saw it. Yeah.
That's like that thing. I always love when people kind of do that, where they go, oh, only Avengers movies have those. I'm like, dude, like back in the day, Super Mario Brothers, they had the post credit thing. Yeah, Ferris Bueller. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just Marvel movies that have them.
No, that's that was actually pretty clever. I don't know why I thought to look at that, but I just thought, I have a feeling there will be one. That's a good ninja. Kind of sexy. But that was really interesting too. But that said, with the effects and the creativity they put into this world that they built, I would love to see them just turn around and say, well, this isn't like Mario Brothers. Well, okay, we'll just make a video game in this. I would love to see a video game in this world, a Mario Brothers game in this world. Mario it up just a slight bit more, just a slight bit more. But damn, I would play that. Cyberpunk Mario, you kidding me?
Yeah. I'm surprised there hasn't been more fan games. I mean, I've seen them kind of like tongue in cheek, kind of like just, oh, look how bad it is, whatever. But I'm surprised there hasn't been more fan games that really try to emulate that. Maybe Nintendo comes in and tries to cancel them before they get in. Like, no one can remember this, But yeah. I think there would be cool. It'd be cool if it had like kind of like the Mario World kind of graphics and bit, but more in like a metallic setting and more in like a, rusty kind of metal kind of look to it.
It would look like a mix between some of the more what is the word I'm looking for? I guess mechanical levels of Sonic the Hedgehog or Mega Man. And then but throw Mario Brothers in there. I feel like that's kind of what it would look like a little bit. I would play the shit out of that.
Instead of a fire flower, it's the flamethrower.
Yeah, you got the flamethrower gun and so on like that. Well, plus it's like I just love the look of just Mario and Luigi in it. I mean, like I always have right here on my computer. I got the action figures.
I was gonna bring them up. I'm so glad you do. Damn.
And I actually have some of them sealed too. But like it's like one of those ones like I just love having. That is always there at my workstation is Mario and Luigi from the movie. Just I think that's totally cool. The action figures are really neat. The tie-ins, kind of little stuff that they had to go along with it, even though it's not that much. Like, because that was another big deal too. Is I remember like once again, like you couldn't just go out and just easily find a Nintendo action figure at the time. So like in 1993, when you saw like those Mario and Luigi figures there, it was just like, oh my gosh, there's actually a Mario Brothers figure you can grab.
Yeah, because a lot of merchandising was really rare back then. I mean, you could find some toys of Mario and Luigi from back in the late 80s and early 90s, but they're very few and far between. This is the most mass-produced one they had at the time.
Yeah, because I think that the only way you could really get Nintendo stuff for the most part is you order it out of either catalogs and maybe like those very big stores like FEO Schwartz, like in New York and San Francisco, may have had stuff like that. But, Kmart wasn't carrying those things, No.
Well, the weird thing is, Spencer, how I'm obsessed with tie-ins. I think I wish they would come back. So, like, we talked about it in the last Action Hero episode. I fucking love tie-ins. The weird thing about this movie is that in a way it is the tie-in because the video game came first, so there's no video game tie-in. Oh, sorry. Wow, it hit my microphone. There is no video game tie-in. This is the tie-in to the video game, although I would have liked there to have been a video game tie-in to this at the time, but there was action figures. Was there any fast food stuff? I don't remember ever seeing.
7-Eleven, I believe, had something. There is like
really?
You get a Mario. I remember one kid who I hated who brought it to school.
Dick.
It was a Mario Slurpee cup, and you could take the plastic lid off and throw it like a frisbee. And I was like, I want to kill you in your sleep.
Oh my god! Like the Batman, because the Batman Returns had those.
Yeah, well, the kid was a total asshole, so that kind of added to it. And they had like this one had Yoshi, this one had Koopa, that kind of thing. At least that's how I remember it.
See, I don't remember because we just started getting 7-Elevens over here. Like I was in my hometown a couple of weeks ago. I was visiting my mom, and I was like, "Is that a 7-Eleven in North Carolina? What the hell is this?" I mean, there's a few of them scattered around here, and you'll see it's very few and far between. So now they're building them here.
Yeah.
So I never got any cool 7-Eleven tie-ins until I guess now it's just now available to me in 2021. So it's kind of ridiculous, and I'm jealous.
Well, 7-Eleven was one of the places that was a good one for tie-ins. Like they've always been pretty good. They still even keep that kind of tradition alive. It's not there's not tons of stuff, but every once in a while I'll still run across things like that Detective Pikachu merchandise and so on they had there. So they do have it from time to time. Real quick, I just want to mention like we were talking about like if the game was in this style. You know what movie actually had that in a sense was the Street Fighter movie. There's actually a Street Fighter movie video game, and what it is it literally plays just like Street Fighter 2 in a sense, but it has like the digitized kind of looking actors, sort of Mortal Kombat style, but it's Street Fighter. And it's just like that right there. I was like, that's all you gotta do. You just take your exact formula already that you got for Street Fighter the game, but you overlay the movie on top of it. And for some reason is that the one where you can play as like Dhalsim in like a scientist outfit?
I just like that's actually a good question. Is that how Dawson fights? Another question is like, well, if they did that with Mario, like what would be Bob Hoskins running animation running really fast? It's Mario World physics, but it's digitized actors from in that world, like just Bob Hoskins running really fast with his arms out, doing that Naruto run,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It would have to be a side scroller, right? It'd be side scroller.
It would have to be.
Well, I mean, like I know, like the closest thing to like I guess a side scroller, like in like that style of graphics, is like Mortal Kombat, Sub-Zero mythologies, and
Batman Forever.
Yeah, Batman Forever. Actually, never mind.
That one was really bad, if I remember.
I like that game, but I just have probably great nostalgia for it more than anything else. I played the living daylights out of that on Sega Genesis.
I have an ass load of nostalgia for Batman Forever, Batman all of them, and I don't think I like one of those movies, but I have a ton of nostalgia for it. But man, this movie, I kind of feel like cheated a little bit. I wish I would have watched this more as a kid. But I'll say this, even watching it now, without my only thing I can remember from watching it as a kid was weird, but I do remember kind of liking it. And then it kind of just disappeared. Like you said, it wasn't everywhere. No,
they just didn't really resell this very often either, too. Mm-hmm. They kept it out on Nintendo. I remember because it was a big deal because in like 2005 or so, I remember like they actually put like an article in Nintendo Power, and it was almost like, oh, we haven't touched this since like 1993. Like, so like even Nintendo themselves, it's like, and I can't remember, because I want to say the DVD came out a little bit before that, but maybe it did have to do when the DVD came out. That might have been the reason why there was an article in Nintendo Power, give or take around that time period. And I remember that just being like, holy crap, they're bringing it back, and like then they also put like a wizard one in there too. So it's just like, oh, it was like the video game movie section, like the time kind of forgot, but now it's kind of coming back and so on. And I was
going to bring up the Wizard earlier because you had Tron and Wizard, but I think this was the first one that was off an IP. Like, this is an actual video game character. Yeah, that's crazy, man. And I guess it started the streak that everybody likes to talk about, where I guess on a consensus level, wasn't a really good video game movie for a really long time.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat. But now. It's like, I'd say 3 out of the last 4. I mean, I thought the Tomb Raider, Alicia Vikander one was really good.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I like anything Tomb Raider, but...
Yeah, and they're making more of those, apparently. I thought Sonic was good.
Sonic was amazing. Really good, yeah. That was my number one movie of 2020. Was that when that was? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I worked that movie at Alamo. I remember working there. That was good. Mortal Kombat. It was pretty fun. And then there was like another. Oh, and Detective Pikachu.
Yeah,
Detective Pikachu was good.
Yeah. Yeah, because the thing is like I've liked video game movies throughout the years. Like it's one of those ones. Like I like Street Fighter, I like the Tomb Raiders, I like even Resident Evil. Though they're different than the source material, they're still fun in their own alternative kind of way. Silent Hill, I think, is pure amazing. So I don't know. My whole life, I've always really dug them. You know, there's very few that I can ever think of that I didn't care for, you know, for the most part. I mean, one of the only ones I thought was just really okay, and I didn't care for that much, was like Street Fighter Legend Chun-Li. And maybe
that's not okay. That's flat straight horseshit.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and this is the thing. This is the story that kind of goes behind. I know me and Ryan have talked about it before, but like we got so pumped when that movie was coming out. Me and Ryan were like jacked pumped. We had to drive like 2 hours to go see it at like George Lucas's theater, and like so like we're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do Chun-Li. Just like one of those nights, you know, where you're just like so amped up. You're like, we're driving. We're going on a quest. We're gonna go hit up like, you know, like all the CD and video game stores and, you know, all that stuff along the way. It's gonna be an epic journey and whatnot. And we're like in this like cinema like number 20, like in the far back of the theater. Like you don't think anybody even uses it. They're like, oh, this is our broom closet that oh, I guess we could play. Like we're like the only people in there.
Someone maybe like got shot or OD'd in that room. You know, it was just that like far off in the corner, light flickering in the hallway, burning trash barrel for some reason. Yeah. And then like we're like 2 of 4 people in that whole theater, and then just sitting there kind of lying to ourselves about it. Because when I walked out of the movie, I was kind of like, you know, it could have been better, but, you know, Chun-Li was in it. The guy from American Pie that played Ox was Charlie. Okay. You know, you're really... The guy that played Bison had a good jawline, you know. You're just trying
you're really, like, pulling straws in a sense to see what you can pull out of that film, but...
Liu Kang was playing Gen, which was cool. You know, and then after, like, Michael Clark Duncan... His Balrog was good. That's the one thing I can say.
That was a cool takeaway. So,
that was good casting. But then like there's nothing you could say good about Vega. Like, oh, the guy from Black Eyed Peas is Vega. Fuck that. You know.
Yeah.
But that's how I felt about Assassin's Creed.
I didn't give a shit.
Assassin's Creed was. That one, I don't know what that movie should have been good. It was like, that seemed like one of those ones, like, you should have been able to screw that one up. And that was one of those ones I remember walking out going like, yeah, this is what and the movie felt cheap. Like, it felt like that was a straight to DVD film. Like, it did not feel like that should have been a theater one. Like, where I'll say, like, there was the Prince of Persia movie, and that one was just kind of okay too, but at least that movie felt big budget. You know, it might not have captured the Prince of Persia aspect very well, but like it still like had like a grandeur, like, oh, this feels like, you know, this goes alongside, you know, any other big, you know, summer blockbuster movie of the time, which at that point, you know, video game movies were still kind of like in the B movie category, you know, so that was kind of cool, but it was like one of those ones like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back almost somehow, some way. It's just like, well, we're still not getting anywhere. But then, yeah, that Assassin's Creed, like, I felt like, dude, that seemed like, you should be able to do that blindfolded and turn out like a hit.
They have like 10 years of actual plot to pull from. I mean, I guess you'd say, think about something like Mario Brothers is like, all right, I mean, you had like, what plot did you really have to work off of other than like a cartoon, which they probably didn't want to watch or take too much from?
Which also feels like a fever dream, by the way.
The movie, I take the movie 100 times over any cartoon.
The 80s cartoon from Japan.
That one's fun.
That me and Ryan, dude, it's like bizarre, and it's like the ending in it is like, what the fuck?
Okay, well, wasn't some of the... Okay, never mind. You were talking about a whole different thing, because I was thinking that what they did for the American show, because you remember the Super Mario Bros. Super Show? I felt like what they did was bring in the Japanese show, but they had like 2 other people introduce it at the beginning, or was it like a completely different thing?
No, that one's like all American, or maybe American and Canadian, but well, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, at the end of the day, you can just cut the cartoon out and throw it over your shoulder. It's all about those live action scenes like that. That's where it's all at. Dude, the sitcom like Mario Brothers style stuff, like that to me is still like gold. I love it so much.
Dope ass theme song.
Yeah, dude, the theme song's amazing.
Yeah, that theme song is damn good. And we're talking the 90s here, when you get up against some great 90s kids theme songs, okay? We're talking DuckTales, Tailspin, Chip and Dale. I mean, there's some good shit going on then.
Sonic the Hedgehog theme.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot about that cartoon. For a second.
There's that one.
I never forget about it because every time Ryan calls my phone, that song goes on.
There's that one, but there's the 90s Saturday morning one, which is like, Blue Streak, streaks by Sonic the Hedgehog. It's like,
Too fast for the naked eye. Now, that's the one that I got for Ryan's ringtone. It's the one from the Saturday morning cartoon show version.
Total 90s cock rock kind of style.
Yeah. You know, it's like the band, whoever probably played that song probably opened up for Soundgarden at some point.
I just got a gig doing the Sonic theme. I think it's really going to take off from there.
We'll have to do an episode now. I think it's like top animated theme songs of the 90s.
Oh, let me know. I'll be there.
Turtles.
If we combined the 80s and the 90s together, because, you know, that would be kind of fun. Just like top cartoon theme songs between the 80s and 90s. Because the 80s, I feel the 90s has better like cartoons, of course, but theme songs are still pretty darn strong in the 80s.
Ooh.
Transformers.
Yeah.
Transformers is good. You know,
Inspector Gadget.
They're not as memorable. Inspector. Yeah, I remember that one too. Yeah. Oh man, it's that Disney block though. I feel like it was
like Tailspin.
They had two guys. Tailspin was fire. Darkwing Duck was fire.
Yep.
You know, we already mentioned DuckTales, Chip and Dale. That was fire. This is going to be one of those tangents we cut out, obviously, on the episode. But yeah, those were fire. And then I feel like there was another 90s one. And then at the same time, I feel like it was
The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. That one. I don't have any singing in it, but it's so good.
Oh my God.
I mean,
well then, I feel like those two guys at Disney that were just going like making all kinds of money because they have one guy doing the animated stuff because there's so many similarities. It has to come from like the same guy somewhere, and then you have the same guy doing all the TGIF songs. You got like Family Matters, Full House, and the Step by Step. That's got to be the same guy. Step by Step. They went. There's some good ones in the 90s.
Power Rangers. I mean, I know it's not cartoon, but
that counts.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those ones like that. That's about like, you know, as close as you can get like live action to being a cartoon.
Yes, absolutely. Oh man, good times. But Super Mario Brothers Super Show is definitely in there. It's very underrated. But the show was kind of fun itself. Wasn't there like a Zelda thing too? Wasn't there like a Zelda?
There's a Zelda show too, which it's still cool for nostalgia's sake. It's one of those ones where like you just watch poor Link. It's literally about being the poor guy who has to do all the work for the princess, and at the end of the day, she's always going to go with some other royal schmuck instead of you.
It's basically it's basically kind of like something an incel could point to, like, this is what I'm talking about.
It's just that one that it's like that thing that, like, you know, just because, you know, there's no way you're going to work your way up. There's no Prince and the Pauper story here. This is like literally you are poor, you are the boy, you do all the work for the princess. You know, just because you got a Triforce on your hand too, that doesn't mean shit. Yeah. You got the low end of the Triforce.
Giving up Zelda's Twitch stream, I'll give so much money to Zelda's Twitch stream, and she doesn't pay any attention to me.
You know, I play her lullaby and all that shit. She just never reads my comments.
Yeah, just
I bought an ocarina. Those are expensive as shit.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Instead, she's talking to that fucking cuck Mario. Oh, okay, right.
Well, let's see, because I just remember there was like that one episode where
Mario, Luigi Mario, and Chad Mario. Fuck them all.
Chad Mario,
the third Mario brother,
played by Brendan Fraser.
You see these. He's the Mario brother. He doesn't need to go out and do any saving. He just needs to go out night in the club, and he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wears overalls but no shirt underneath. It's just the overalls.
Played by Channing Tatum.
Oh, my God, please. Make this a thing. I need Chad Mario.
Did you guys take a look at the soundtrack that was released for the movie? Speaking of tie-ins and music.
It's got a good soundtrack because it's got Funkadelic on there.
Megadeth, Queen.
Yeah.
On this one?
Yeah.
Marky Mark and the Funky Boys, yeah.
Yeah.
That's Chad Mario.
Yeah, Marky Mark would be
We're going
Chad
back to
Mario.
that, Tom.
1993, that's totally. It's between that or Brendan Fraser.
I'm going Marky Mark on that one. I think he's Chad Mario for sure. Back in '93.
Yeah.
You feel it.
Funky
Yeah.
Bunch.
So yeah, Almost Unreal. That's a movie. That's the song that plays like right at the credits.
By Roxette, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
That's a
by
catchy
Roxette.
tune. I like that one.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that's a good song. That feels like the song that they're really trying to push for the movie. Like, oh, this is gonna be our Kissed by a Rose type thing.
Wait a minute. So was Walk the Dinosaur wasn't for this? It just didn't
No.
put it in. Okay, good.
That's an
I was gonna
older
say.
song, but like that.
Yeah.
I still always think of that being a big deal in it.
They had a special band just for the movie. George Clinton and the Goombas, I believe.
Yeah, it is. George Clinton and the Goombas. Tie Your Mother Down by Queen. You got Breakpoint by Megadeth. Where Are You Going by Extreme.
Oh yeah.
I Want by Chad Mario. I mean Marky Mark. And then there's I Would Stop the World by Charles and Eddie. I don't know who the fuck that is.
That's the song they play when they're at the. That's actually they cover that Sam and Eddie. I don't remember what the big hit they had in the '90s, but that's the song Mario is basically trying to reach the diamond for when they're doing that slow dance in the club.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Which that song always takes me back. Because that's an older song, but it's a cover, and that particular cover always takes me back to the movie.
Was the music? I meant to look this up, but the music when the Goombas are being hypnotized, is that the underwater music?
No, I mean,
No.
it sounds kind of like it.
Okay.
Just I'll say
Yeah,
though,
oddly
that's all
enough,
it
that they
takes
don't use any Mario Brothers music for the most part in there.
Which is very weird.
yeah,
other than the opening.
yeah, the opening is like the only time that there is. Though I will say the Super Mario Brothers movie kind of like I guess you would say they're the Mario theme, the that song right there. When I hear that, I'm like, oh shit, I'm ready for an adventure.
Alan Silvestri.
Yep.
Yeah. That really shocked me when I saw that. I'm like, oh, they got Silvestri in here. This isn't Back to the Future.
Real talk, it may sound blasphemous. I prefer Silvestri over John Williams.
At times. I mean, John Williams is the king. But,
I understand why he's the king, but just not trying to be a hipster. I just prefer Silvestri.
Well, it's like, when it comes to music scores, is it considered great because the score is better, or is it because the movie's more iconic? Because, see, in my opinion, this is one of my weird things, just talking about John Williams, I think that the score for the prequels is better than the originals.
Oh, I definitely agree.
There's more.
Yeah.
There's more feeling in it. Whether you like the prequels or not, there's a little bit more emotion. And
Across the Stars is amazing, and yeah, all of them.
Duel of
Revenge of the
Fates, come
Sith
on,
one.
like.
Yeah. And of course, Duel of the Fates. I mean, shit. I mean, you gotta kind of throw that out there. But yeah, no, Silvestri, man, he's got some really, really good ones. I can't even remember all of them off the top of my head. And then another guy that's right up there with Williams to me is Horner. Mm-hmm. James Horner, some of his scores, man, that Land Before Time score will fucking wreck you.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was him.
Your ass, man. That movie wrecks me anyway. But
I was like, because he does the score on Battle Beyond the Stars too. The old like Roger Corman one.
I still have not seen that. I got to watch that.
It's okay.
Oh man, maybe that's one we'll do. When I go on Old Man Orange, maybe we'll do that one.
Oh.
I still need to see it. Spencer says it's okay, but any Gen Z listener is just like, it's not okay. It's fucking amazing.
Well, I feel like probably for that time period, though, it's like one of those, or not Gen Z, but I feel like almost if you're like Generation X or back or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's what did I say Z? I
I don't think it's that, but I think it was like that thing, like when you just watch Star Wars and you're just like, shit, I want another Star Wars. Like that movie was almost like filling that void that like you were not going to get. You know what I mean? Where nowadays we're like, well, we got Blade Runner, and we got sequels galore to Star Wars, and we got Star Trek that even does Star Wars, and we got Aliens. Yeah, we have so much stuff, but I think at that time period, like you just didn't have enough like big old sci-fi stuff, and it's like it's doing the Magnificent Seven thing too. It's like proto Mass Effect 2. Come on.
It's like, what you got, baby? You got more? You got more?
Yeah. And all the ships just have big old jugs flying around. Like, I don't know why, but they do. It's like, that's like Roger Corman. Just
I
like,
forgot about that.
that's like totally the Roger Corman thing. Be like, oh,
Yes.
we're doing a PG movie. Well, somehow, some way, you gotta. It's Roger. If my name's gonna be on it, you gotta put tits in there somewhere. I don't care if you put them on the. I don't care if you put them on the spaceship. Put them somewhere.
You heard, boss.
Put them on the spaceship.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Disney's done worse.
You know what?
Okay,
Technically, Mario is a Disney movie because it's under the Hollywood
Yes.
Pictures.
I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to mention that.
Same company as Son-in-Law as well, too.
Do we have? I think we're going to have to review Son-in-Law.
We should. I know that comedies are always kind of weird ones to do on podcasts, but like,
Yes.
Son-in-Law to me is like, when it comes down to comedy movies, I would literally say that's like top 5 for me. I mean,
Maybe we'll
that's
just
like
do
personal
a Pauly Shore
favorite.
retrospective.
Yeah, or I'm down for that too. Encino Man as well. I mean, me and Ryan did Encino Man commentary at one point.
Yeah,
Our first
you know,
commentary, let's do an Encino Man commentary. Why? I don't know.
Exactly.
Because it's super nostalgic because there's only this weird brief moment in time where Pauly Shore was really appreciated.
Well,
and then by the masses.
He seems like, I know Mojo Nixon did a great job, but he seems like somebody they would have got to play Toad.
Yeah, I could see
Oh
that.
God, yes. Yes, he would have been
Plus,
great. But he would have
since
stolen
it's a Hollywood
scenes.
Pictures movie as well, you feel like it would be easy because that's what Encino Man is too.
Mm.
And I think In the Army now is as well as Hollywood Pictures film.
Jeez.
Probably the last Hollywood Pictures film because I don't think it's around too much farther past 94, 95.
Maybe Pauly Shore killed it. Ah, man.
Well, the downfall of Pauly Shore, though, is he cut his hair. And, like, at first, when he's got long hair, he could be kind of weird and goofy, but he's like, oh, he's got long hair. He's kind of cool and hip and so on like that. And then he cuts his hair, and then he's just kind of like, oh, now he's just kind of weird and fucking nerdy. Like, kids, get away from him.
Exactly.
That's what happened. It's like the second that he doesn't have his long hair, like the mystique kind of went away, and then it almost like he became like a creepster in a sense.
He's like Samson. He cut his hair. He lost his powers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
now he's just once he cut his hair, he was just Mitzi Shore's kid again. It's like, oh, he's
Yeah.
only around because his mom runs a comedy store. That's the only reason he's around. But yeah, damn.
That's the sad thing is like In the Army now, even though I like that movie, it's like that's literally what kills Pauly Shore.
It wasn't Biodome. It was.
No, and I even like Biodome. There's nostalgia for me in that movie. I know people,
There is nostalgia.
but like that, like you want to take me back because all kids have those like I always call like that dumb movie that you sort of watch that like you just think's just funny and goofy and you have a good time with, but it's pure retarded, and that that to me is what Biodome is, and that movie's got like tons of people in it too. It's got like Jack Black's in there and Kyle Gass, and it's got what's her name from Mallrats and Chasing Amy?
Yeah,
I know you're talking about. I forgot her name.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I think one of the original, to bring it back around to Mario, I think one of the original writers on the script reread was one of the writers on Biodome, I think.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of fucking sense.
Biodome has a good soundtrack.
It does. It is super nostalgic. It is the opening scene in that movie just turns me off every time. Where like they're biting each other's toes. I'm like
Just the gross out. Like it's got.
fire.
It's weird because it's like it has gross out gags that like are actually almost kind of like they would feel sort of tame, but when you watch them, you're like, oh, I don't know why. It's just like. It's not like the guy's like eating dog shit off the ground or something like that, but it's just like he's biting the other dude's toe. Oh, that's fucking.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the one time you don't want it to be a practical effect.
Yeah.
You want it to be CGI. Like, can we just CGI a foot in here? Oh my God. But anyway, Super Mario Brothers. If you've never seen it, good luck fucking watching it because you can't find it anywhere. Like you got to hit up somebody. Hey, you got any of that Super Mario Brothers? Got any of that?
Yeah, I think you can still find the DVD for sale, like on Amazon and so on. I mean, like if you want to go that route, I think that still exists for it. I don't think that one's like, it's not like you're buying it used for like $35 or something. I think it's still sold at a reasonable price.
I wonder if Nintendo is just going and knocking down doors and like really, because it was one of those things like, yeah, it happened. Let's not fucking talk about it. But now we got this other Mario movie coming out, and Nintendo seems like to push back on certain aspects of fandom. So I'm wondering if like they're just being like, we don't give a shit if fans like it. We hate it. So get rid of it. Like I could see it being kind of like that. They're just trying to almost stamp it out, like copyright strike it. I don't give a shit.
It's where the holiday special was. See, now they just put the holiday special on Disney Plus. It's not the whole thing. They put most of it on Disney Plus.
They don't show like Chewbacca's uncle jerking off in the living room.
No, they don't show any of that. They just show it's basically it's just the faithful Wookiee part. It's just that part.
Oh.
Yeah, that's all that's on there. But it's on Disney Plus.
Or like the cartoon with that introduces Boba Fett.
The cartoon's the best part of that. That's my favorite part of it.
I'm pretty sure that's all that's on there. I might be wrong. I haven't watched it since they put it on Disney Plus. But so Disney, like Lucasfilm, was kind of lightened up on some of that stuff because they even put the Ewok movies on there too, like the Caravan of Courage, Battle for Endor. Mm-hmm. They put all the I can never say his name. But Clone Wars, the original Clone Wars cartoon, they put that up on there. So they were like, it was like everybody's like, "Don't touch this," pretend it doesn't exist. And Nintendo is super weird about their image and their brand anyway. Mm. So I have a feeling that they're, keep it away. But also, aren't they doing another Mario Brothers movie? Is there like an animated movie?
They are. There's going to be an animated one by Illumination.
That's right.
Well, that's like the Mario, the anime one from like '85 that me and Ryan watched on Old Man Orange a while back. That thing you can't just go out and buy either. That's like Nintendo, I don't think has sold that since the '80s. I think it only existed like on VHS. I don't think it ever came to DVD or anything like that. So I don't know why. Like I always feel like you should own everything you have, and it's like everything should be sort of like in a sense somewhat of canon. Whether you just do like an alternate universe type thing or something like that. I never think that I think companies should just be like, you know what, everything is. It doesn't matter. It's like Star Wars. Everything in Star Wars is all part of it. Like whether it be the old novels, whether it be any of the bizarre like extra movies like the Ewok ones and so on, or some of the cartoons and everything, it's all there. The video games and so on. And I feel like Nintendo should even just do it too. They should even just be like, you know what? Fuck you guys. We're just gonna Wanda Gamelon is gonna just be re-released on the Switch. Let's do it.
Look.
Remastered.
Yeah, remastered too. Why not? Somebody actually remastered those games. Like they took all like the cutscenes and so on and kind of like re-rendered them or whatever. I don't know what they did, but like they had like a restoration project for those games.
Coke brought back new Coke.
Yeah.
Pepsi brought back Crystal Pepsi, and everybody's like so excited.
Own it
when they bring it back. Just own it. Yeah. And if Nintendo was like, yeah, let's do a 4K steelbook of this, and let's just throw together like a little 8-bit thing that we could put on the Switch for people to get excited about it, and do like a big hoopla thing. People will go nuts over this movie that they don't want to pretend exists. You could turn it make money.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is because.
Yeah.
Like me and Ryan and so on, and I feel like, Wes, you're becoming part of this here. Like, there is a fan basis for the Super Mario Brothers movie, and it's not a small one. It's like, it's still there. Man, I know tons of people that, like, really dig this film. And plus, I think no matter what, there's always going to be those people anyways that might go like, oh, the Super Mario Brothers movie sucks. But you re-release it, and they're out there buying it. And you'd be like, dude, I thought you said the movie sucked. Oh, yeah, but I just did it for the collection is all. Don't judge me!
We know those people, yeah.
Actually, there's going to be those kind of people, too.
We went to back when I lived in San Francisco. Actually met Spencer there for it. There was a bar in Oakland that was showing it on a big screen, and they were kind of having like a Mario party, if you will.
It was a 25th anniversary.
Yeah, they had special cocktails, Mario-themed cocktails. They had a bunch of video games in the back. People could jump on and play, and they're selling art prints and this and that. And there are people there. It wasn't super crowded, but there's enough people there. And you could see that, like, there are people there that, like, around our age that never saw the movie but knew Mario. And it was so interesting seeing them like, hi, I'm Daisy. And people going, wait, what? And not knowing or piecing together, well, this is before Daisy had her big comeback. Or like, why is he called Koopa? Like, well, this is back before he was called Bowser, So a lot of that kind of stuff. By the end of the movie, even though people were kind of like, that was weird. Like, that was fun, though. I mean, it was different, but it was fun. That was it was not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be when people were talking about it, So that's come from people who just walk into it somewhat blind.
Yeah. Plus, the thing too is like the people there that enjoyed the movie and so on like that too. It's like they cheered at all the right moments and everything like that, and it was like the total it was a good old Mario party. I mean, hell, we were playing Mario Kart while the movie's like getting ready and everything like that. It was like it was one of those events where it's like, dude, this was so sick, 25th anniversary, so sold to go see Mario in theaters, and even if it's a little theater in the back of a bar, but that's still a theater.
Yeah. It was a good time, and I was just glad to see so many people not just bullshitting throughout the whole movie, but actually watching it and being intrigued. Okay, this thing, it's crazy and all over the place, but it stood the test of time for more than just being weird and quirky,
Yeah. It's just, it's just a fun roller coaster ride, and I think that's the thing is you just got to go into this movie and be like, I want to have a good time. And this movie delivers hardcore on that. It really gets in there. It's not, it's not one of those films. I know I mentioned it kind of before, but it's not one of those ones where it's just the movie itself is just boring and the special effects aren't good and the pace is slow. And no, none of that stuff's there. It's just a different take is all. And, if you want, it's like having a Batman Elseworlds story. That's what this thing is. It's Super Mario Brothers Elseworlds.
I think that my final verdict on this is that I think it's great. I think it would have been better if they went to this world for the sequel. Introduce us cinematically to Mario Brothers in a sense that's more consistent with the actual product. And then move on to something crazier for the second one and kind of blow our minds. And, I think it would have worked better. But I think that this film, on a quality level, for all that went on with it, for being such a big, IP and kind of being one of the first things to ever come along its way, from a technical level, is almost on par with the Ninja Turtles original movie. Because I have high regard for that one, because I was super into Ninja Turtles like almost every other 90s kid was. But the suits and the action in it, everything is so great. I think if this one would have stuck just a little closer to what the game was, I think this could have been on that level. I really do. Because quality-wise, it's there. I mean, the suits, the effects, just the heart and soul put into it. It's there.
Yeah, when you can try and go to Mario Brothers Archive and try to look up the first script they have. We still want to go down and read all the other variations, but read the first one. You'd be surprised how accurate it is. There's some stuff they have to fill in the blanks and kind of make up, which is understandable because you only had real 4 main games to work off at the time. But
it's just crazy to think. Wow.
But I honestly still believe if they went with the original script, it would maybe be regarded as a different movie. But at the same time, for the movie we got, and being the movie we got, I still find it to be a really enjoyable movie. It may be kind of different than what you'd expect a Mario Brothers movie to be, but it's still fun, it's still enjoyable. And there's, I know there's better movies out there, but there's something about being a little kid, just getting into Mario, and then going to the theaters and seeing this thing after just getting into Mario, which it's kind of hard to really totally, for me personally, to push against it,
Yeah.
Well, I know it's a very personal thing more than grand scale, but yeah. Sorry, Spencer. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to chime in because that just kind of reminded me. It's sort of like how almost the Sonic the Hedgehog movie kind of is, where it's like Sonic's there, Robotnik's there, so you got in a sense your main characters, but the world itself is kind of completely different, other than that beginning shot of Sonic and Mobius and so on like that. He's just in the U.S. and so on like that. But it still works because the movie's still fun and it's still awesome, even though he's not running around in the iconic levels that you kind of would expect. It still has the Sonic heart and feel in there, and just by expanding into Sonic 2 sequels and so on, I feel they'll just get more and more into it. Where the Mario, I feel like it has that same way. It has the feel, it's got the characters, it has kind of the passion of Mario. It's just taken in a completely different way. It would be interesting to see almost where it goes. I mean, I know that's where the comic comes in. It's going to fill in that kind of blank since we don't have it. But the very end of the movie when Daisy just kind of kicks in the door and she's all kind of haggard and just like burnt and got a flamethrower in one hand, be like, it's time to go. And Mario doesn't even have to ask questions now. He just grabs his tools. He's like, I'm ready, Luigi. Let's do it.
Now, if I don't want to keep us here too much longer, but I honestly think, because people think, well, they kind of wrote themselves into a corner by making the Mushroom Kingdom this little like city in the middle of a desert planet. Like, well, it's about world jumping. What if the next game, what if this is just dry land? What if the next movie, and granted they have different directors by then probably, but like, what if the next movie they go to a water world, or they go to a more greener area, something that more resembles the game? So that just, I mean, that's speaking hindsight, like 25 years past the past. Yeah. But just in the idea of like, well, I guess you still could have if you were willing to, you know, push the lore a little bit more.
Yeah.
Just for hypothetical thinking, I was watching this. And I was thinking, man, I'm so glad fucking Tim Burton didn't do this movie. Like, imagine how weird.
Well, the downfall is that's always the problem when you
get be claymation.
When you get a director who's too creative, who's fine on his own stuff, but like, you give him like almost like a different property, and then it's like next thing you know, it's everything's got to be his style, his way, his look, and so on. Granted, I love Batman '89 and Batman Returns. I mean, like what they are exactly, you know, they're fantastic. You take them at face value, and they're great. But it is that kind of thing. Like I feel when it sounds weird, but when you do it in a sense like somebody else's IP and somebody else's kind of screenplay and story, you need almost kind of like a director who just comes in and actually does the job and doesn't try to like conform it to like his view or her view or what have you. Just literally goes, this is Mario Brothers. This is what it looks like. Okay, cool. We're going to make it exactly how it is on page. You know what I mean? Like that'd be the perfect director for like a comic book movie as well too. Is someone who actually just looks at the comic book, goes, okay, this is our storyboard. If anybody needs to question what stuff looks like, open the book.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, it's fun. Like I said though, go watch it if you can find it anywhere. You can buy the DVD.
If you're in England, you can get that cool steelbook one.
Yeah, get the fucking cool steelbook in England if you're there. If you're listening in England, I have a few listeners. I always have a handful of UK listeners anytime I look at the stats, you know, break them down. That's kind of cool. Ron, thanks for being on. I'm glad this is your first Rewind review on the show. Like, you were actually on here. We did a Rewind review thing, and there we go.
I'm glad to be on, man. I'd love to do it again. Got to get you back on our show.
Yeah, man. I want to. And I know in a couple weeks, I haven't really talked to you about this yet, so I'm kind of springing on you, but I want to do like I don't know when for sure yet, but a mega-sode. Because in the next episode, we're going to have my pal Alex on, and I would like to do like some. What did we bring up? Oh, we'll talk about it off air. We have an idea that will tie into this actually really well. So, but anyway, thanks for being on. Obviously, oldmanorange.com, right, Spencer? You can go there and find all kinds of stuff, including Old Man Orange Podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Old Man Orange Podcast, Pizza Boys, all that good stuff is all on there. Yeah,
go check out your 810 shows that you do. I don't know how you do it, man. I really don't.
I don't know either. It's just
I barely do this one. I barely can do this one. Oh my gosh. But yeah, thanks for listening. Come back in here soon. We're going to continue this streak of Get to Know Us films. Another guest on the next episode. My buddy Alex will be here, so I'm really excited about that. We're definitely digging into some childhood funny stuff on the next one. It's going to be there's going to be some childhood trauma, maybe. That's always fun to listen to, so check that out. But anyway, find us on YouTube if you're not watching us there already, or go to any of the podcast catchers you can find via VHS if you're watching on YouTube. Whatever you're doing, we're everywhere except Pornhub. So thanks for listening, and Via VHS is out.